Hey everybody, I wanted to do a different style video on the channel, one that's a little bit interesting, and it was partially inspired by, big shout out to Sand Dot, I think. I don't want to mispronounce that, but also someone in my own stream encouraged me to do more gaming ideas videos, so here we are. I was thinking a lot about this, and this concept came right after Marvel's Spider-Man 1. The initial concept was just a annoyed feeling of how they've handled Green Goblin in the past. Because he's either too robotic in the movies or they make him an actual goblin, and either way, I always hated that, and I wanted to mix together that feel you get from the comics, but also that cool, almost scientific feel that you wouldn't expect from like Green Goblin, that you kind of got in Spectacular Spider-Man, and you didn't really get with the Green Goblin in the actual Sam Raimi films, at least in my eyes. If I'm being honest, Green Goblin is one of those characters that I always loved, but I always hated how they always did him. He's supposed to be a almost semblance in a almost mirror of Peter, being a man in a suit. And the problem I always had is they always made him too mechanized and strayed farther and farther away from making him almost goblin-esque and still having that sheer feel that he did in the comics. So, with this design, which, sorry, in retrospect, I could not find the journal that I put the design in, so the design that you're seeing is way back in the day, and it's the original classic one that I did, but it's crappy quality, so yeah. What really inspired this design was for scales from the classic comics. I tried to think of ways to reincorporate them and make them work within a tech field, and I thought of something that was pretty cool in the most unexpected of places. Basically, those pillows that have the scales on them that you can flip, and they would be two different on each side. I thought of reincorporating them, but in a more techie sense that gives the goblin a more unique feel to him. And also making him feel almost like his classic counterpart, but maybe I could change up the design later on, making it more natural and stuff like that. Using what little I knew at the time for the goblin design for Marvel's Spider-Man 1, I did know that Osborn had already cracked the idea of camouflage, sound-based batteries and absorption, and stuff like that. So, for the design, I kept the satchel, but I did incorporate something unique, which would be a circular thing that would go around it. This way, he has more of an ability to, on his satchel, it would circular around, and he could grab pumpkin bombs and whatever's that's not in there, almost similar to Go-Go from Big Hero 6. But I would probably change up the design a little bit more and refine it. Now, for some of the more techie elements, I thought of millions of ways to reincorporate, and also partially inspired by Black Panther from Black Panther 1. He has multiple ways to absorb energy and electricity, sound, modified carbon, and almost more. What is it called? Modified nano. It's a electrical thing. It's called something. It's like orange almost. They just added into Minecraft a year back. If you know the answer, put it in the comments. But basically, it would run. He could absorb sound or whatever force that basically kinetic, and turn it into energy that he can reuse, and also keeping himself more supplied constantly. The mask, I was partially inspired by the bit from Marvel Spider-Man 1 that he with the goggles. Something I could not understand is that they would keep the mask almost robotic and stuff like that, which has been a big part of why I wanted to keep the robotic elements but also make it interesting. I could not stand the way they did it in the first Sam Raimi film. I personally prefer the unused version from in the concept art and also screen tests. And I was looking into that version a little bit more for this design and how I could incorporate a realistic way of how they can keep the robotic structure of the mask, but also keep it to where he could take it off and it's not like Jason Todd-esque where it gasses out or something. And then I thought of modifying he would modify the structure of the metal of the mask to be more absorbent to this new nano silk fiber, which makes it more easy to take off the mask. It's very top heavy, but low heavy it is not. And it also can be electrically connected or magnetically connected to his suit, which gives a more cool reason to how interesting the mask can be. Where the inside of the mask is electronic, the outside looks and feels like a goblin. Basically, it would be as you will be seeing on screen, a nanotech fiber, and the scales would be more electrically absorbent into the design in keeping him more absorbent of electricity and whatever, stuff like that, throughout his whole look. The nanotech fiber could be magnetically locked into the neck part of the suit, while his goggles he can control or like can open up and you could see. I haven't figured out a way to make the mouth work yet. I'm still working on it. But for the design, I went with more of a half realistic feel and keeping the comic accurate nature. Because I felt that it's something that a lot of the designs and a lot of the different versions of Green Goblin have pulled away from. And I wanted to take influence from the original version of Green Goblin, but still not disrespect the other versions that have been done so far. I might make a part 2 to this video if you guys want to see it. I have some other ideas and how I would incorporate it, and I might draw some more concept art and to better kind of explain my thought process and how I see it working. But regardless of that, stay tuned for more, and bye-bye.